Hello everyone, welcome to my new video. The town of Barrow in Alaska is located exactly 80 miles from the nearest city center, and once a year, they spend 30 days of winter in pitch darkness, known as polar night. The sun doesn't come to this town for a full month. The stranger takes one last look at the scary ship in the sea and heads for the town of Barrow, while Sheriff Eben and Billy see dozens of phones being collected and burned outside the town. They realize that this is too bad to be a joke, and they watch the sunset for the last time and say goodbye to the sun for a month. Some of the people in the town leave the town for a month before the sun goes down, others prefer to stay, and a mysterious person who takes advantage of this intensity secretly goes to the kennel in the town and kills all the dogs. Meanwhile, Eben's ex-wife Stella is trying to get to the airport to leave town when she collides with an icebreaker car and is stranded in Barrow for a month. When Eben returns to the town, he looks at the dogs and his blood runs cold. There has been a massacre, and the dogs' owners, John and Ally, say they have no enemies and they can't make sense of it. Meanwhile, Gus, who works at the base station, hears noises outside and goes out to check, and suddenly he is surrounded by other people, and before he knows what is happening, they attack him, bite him on the neck, and kill him. A stranger comes to the town's restaurant and asks for raw meat for dinner, but when he doesn't get it, he starts to make a scene. Eben, who is there, arrests the stranger and puts him in a cell to prevent him from making a scene. Meanwhile, the pipeline workers are on their way home when suddenly a vampire attacks and lures one of them into the darkness, where he kills him and throws his corpse in front of them. The female worker manages to escape, while the other one fails to escape and is surrounded by vampires. Suddenly, the town's power goes out, and Eben goes to the cell tower to check and sees blood on the ground. And when he follows, he finds Gus's head impaled on a stake. Eben returns to town and tells people to stay in their homes and keep their guns with them. John and Ally are about to have dinner when suddenly a vampire walks in through the window and grabs Ally and smuggles her out and under the house. John wants to save Ally, but the vampire is so fast that he walks away with Ally in seconds. Eben and Stella are out searching for the killer. Eben stops the car, and Stella looks through binoculars at something in the distance. What she sees scares her, and she immediately tells Eben to get in the car. As they drive away, the vampire suddenly jumps on the car. Eben shoots him with a gun, but it doesn't work. Stella makes a sudden break. They dodge the vampire and drive away from there immediately. Meanwhile, the leader of the vampires, Marlowe, gathers all the vampires and tells them that it's time to attack. He orders them to kill everyone they catch. He asks them to make sure they are dead, or else they will turn into vampires. The vampires go on the attack and start feeding on anyone who gets in their way. Eben and Stella are driving to the crime scene when suddenly dozens of vampires attack their car. Eben manages to shoot a few of them in the head and kill them, but this is not enough, and the vampires lift the car and make it do a backflip. Just when they are about to be caught, Bo shows up with a dozer with a saw in front of him and passes over the vampires. Eben and Stella quickly get on the dozer and manage to escape. They immediately meet in the rooftop, where they have already agreed to meet and look for a solution to this problem. They will sleep in shifts and hide as much as possible. Marlowe visits the imprisoned stranger and tells him he did a good job. The stranger asks him to keep his promise to transform him, but Marlowe breaks his promise and kills the stranger by breaking his neck. 7 days have passed, and Stella hears voices outside and sees a woman calling for help, but it's a trap. The vampires are following her from the roofs of the houses and using her as bait. When she turns the corner, she tells Marlowe that no one is around and that she's doing what she wants. She asks him to let her go, but Marlowe feeds her to the other vampires who tear her apart. Eben goes out to see if there are any other survivors and finds John hiding under the house, while the vampires are feeding, and quickly gets John out of there. But John has been bitten and is starting to transform. Eben tells him to stay calm, but John says he is too hungry and attacks Eben. Eben falls to the ground and his gun slips out of his hand. He quickly grabs an axe from the woods and decapitates John with the axe. 10 days have passed and there is a big snowstorm outside. Eben takes the opportunity to tell the others that they can go to a nearby grocery store to buy supplies, but the snowstorm will hide them. They arrive at the town's market, and while they are collecting groceries, they hear an eerie sound. When they go to check, they see a little girl drinking her mother's blood. They immediately walk away. Eben goes there with an axe to kill her. The little girl tries to run away, but they lift her up and push her against the wall. Eben's brother decapitates her with the axe. 18 days have passed. Eben mentions that vampires will be here soon and that the outpost will be safe. Someone has to stay behind and create a distraction. Eben will stay behind and join the team later. Eben quickly runs away from the house making noises. The vampires who hear the noises immediately chase after him. Eben hides in a house with ultraviolet lights. Before the vampires reach the house, he takes one of the lights and waits at the door for them to enter when Marlowe's lover enters. Eben shoots him with the ultraviolet light and burns his body. Eben quickly runs away from the back door of the house. Barlow bites him on the neck and kills him to end the pain of his half-burned lover. Bo drives into the vampires with his doser to help Eben escape and kills the vampires in front of him, but there are too many of them. Bo crashes into a building, immediately gets out of the vehicle, and throws a flare into the flare box. There is an explosion, but he survives the explosion. Marlowe kills Bo by crushing him with his shoe. Eben arrives safely at the police station, but realizes there is a problem. Carter has been bitten by the girl from the market and is transformed and can barely contain himself. He asks Eben to kill him before the transformation is complete. Eben takes him to a room and finishes him off there. On the 27th day, Eben sees signs from a house and immediately goes to the house with Stella, where they find Billy injured. They take the injured Billy out of there, and at that time, they see a child walking alone on the road. Stella immediately picks up the child and hides him, but he attracts the attention of a vampire. Eben distracts him while Stella runs away, while Billy is scared and runs away in another direction, but a vampire notices Billy and follows him. When Billy arrives at the meeting place, the vampire who was following him suddenly jumps on Billy's neck. Eben, who runs towards the sounds, hits the vampire's back with an axe, and a serious fight starts between them. With the help of the others, they throw the vampire into the iron grinder and kill him. But Billy is transforming because he was bitten, and Eben kills him there with the axe only hours before sunrise. Realizing that Stella is missing, Eben radios that they are hiding under a car. Stella is about to freeze. Stella is freezing. Meanwhile, the vampires are cutting the oil pipelines and pouring oil into the town. They will burn the town and leave no trace behind, so that everyone will think it was an accident. The oil is slowly flowing towards where Stella is. If she escapes, she will be burned to death by the vampires. If she does not escape, Eben, who wants to save Stella, injects himself into Billy's blood to fight the vampires outside. Although he has difficulty controlling it, he endures it and goes out and challenges Marlowe, and they start fighting. And although he is badly beaten at first, he kills Marlowe, who tries to jump on him by ripping his throat at the last moment. When their leader dies, the vampires accept defeat and walk away. The sun is about to rise, and the end is near for Eben, who spends his last moments with Stella, is burned to death by the rising sun. I would like to thank you for watching me. See you in another video, and take care of yourself.